What up, YouTube? So today is going to be part 5 of the h22 EG hatch build, and today we got some more parts, and we got our distributor block off, and we got our fuel filter inline. So we're going to be able to delete the stock factory one and make it look cleaner with the K-Tune fuel rail as well. And then we also got the PLM headers. So these are a lot more straight flow and should actually make some performance compared to these ones right here. So with that, the RBC manifold, the coil packs, and the bigger intake, this car should be definitely a lot faster. And we got the fuel pump upgraded as well coming, or we have that on the next video probably. Other than that, we're pretty much going to start getting and taking off this whole swap out so we can get the bay painted, we can actually get the motor all cleaned up, and then we're going to be doing the new Gates belt on here with the new manual tensioner, so we can basically kind of get rid of the slack, and like I said, clean up these mounts, make these all sprayed and look fresh because they're actually still good, and just clean it up a little more. Most likely going to be upgrading the brake, so we'll probably do a 40/40 valve on here as well and just tuck that down more, because I'm not sure if the RBC manifold is going to hit right here. So most people I've seen, they've actually tucked that down, so we'll tuck that. But other than that, we're going to start actually just getting to taking this swap out. So I'm going to start getting my tools ready, then we'll come back and start seeing what we're going to take apart. Alright, so let's get started on taking this motor swap out. Easy thing I like to mess with is start actually messing with the wiring harness. Obviously take off your battery power first, and you got 8mm or just Phillips right here, so this will get started with taking out the wire segment of the swap. And then we come to these harness. So I'll disconnect this one. Pretty much just have to press down and pull. Let me put this down real fast. Make it a lot easier. So let's press down, let's pop loose. So that's pretty much disconnected from the harness on that side, and then we'll switch to this side over here. And there's just two plugs, which is this one right here. So you press down. That's loose, and then press down. Sometimes you just have to wiggle it a little bit, especially when they're kind of dirty. But that's pretty much it on this side. Alright, so we got the harness disconnected so far. Next we can do starter, which should be a 12, but it looks like a 13mm. Just to make sure. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to find a 13mm. I'll start attacking the grounds though, because that's basically the next thing. It's just 10mm. And then we got one over here. Alright, so we got our grounds, some of the harness. We got to do starter, but I'm just going to keep things moving so far. So I'm going to start with taking off the fuel, since it's just a flathead. And then next, let's see, let's do the throttle cable real fast, which should be a 12, which I do not have right now. So we're gonna go with some other stuff. We gotta take this bracket off anyway, so let's take that off. And then we need to take off this is the feed to the fuel, so that's 17, I believe, right here. Yeah, it's the 17. So all this is pretty much going to be getting replaced. So we won't be using these lines. We're going to go some braided lines. And as you guys, if you watched the old video of the first or second video, second actually, we got the K-Tune fuel setup and everything. So everything's pretty much going to be upgraded, and all newer parts basically on this swap. So next thing, I'm gonna go for the brake booster line. I mean, everything's pretty simple on you taking apart a swap car, since everything's pretty much been done before. Let's see, next, we can start with the intake, which is kind of already off, but let's get this out of here. Take off both sides. Alright, so I'm actually gonna go through my tools. I want to take off that starter and then find my 12 so we can get the cable off. Pretty much get everything ready so we can start getting on the suspension, because I don't want to take off the fluids from the radiator, because I don't want to be down there all in the fluid. So we'll go ahead and get the cable, start taking off the fuel filter and stuff, cleaning some things up, and then come back and see what we got to do next. Alright, so we're back, and I got some of my tools now, so we can start taking off the throttle cable, which is just a 12mm. And once we get this off, we'll start taking off the starter power. Which is 13. Alright, other than that, let's see, what else do we have? I guess we could start doing the alternator. Or you know what, we're gonna start with the slave cylinder. It's 2 12s right there. Those are a lot more easier to get to. Or actually, since the radiator is in the way, I'm gonna have to wait on that, so I'll get back to the alternator. So just unclip it, and then it should be a 10mm right there. So let me get that off. And you don't have to take off the alternator, but since I'm going to be dropping it probably through the bottom, it'll be a lot easier to just have space. And I got to take it off anyway, since I'm going to be respraying all this stuff anyway, so just getting it out of the way. so that's ready. Now this is a 14, I believe, at the top, and then at the bottom is a 12. So I'm gonna loosen the bottom one. I don't know if you can see it right there. So loosen that up. I should take the tension off. And then a 14. See. Take the other bolt completely out. Okay, I'm not sure exactly. I might have to hammer this part out. Oh, okay, it's just like tapered in there. So here it goes. Yeah, so I'll mess with that later. But it's loose though. I just have to pry it out. Actually, I got my pry bar right here. Yeah, I'll mess with it in a little bit. So next thing I'm gonna do is probably start taking off these header bolts, which are all 12s. And then after we get most of these off, we can get under, take the other 2 bolts off. Alright, so I just got to get those other 2. This one over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and get this alternator off, take these other 2 bolts off, and then we'll come back, start taking, we'll jack the car up, finish taking the headers off, get to the shift linkage, and then we'll get the axles and half shaft popped out. Alright, so we're back. I got the alternator out. I finished taking the top exhaust manifold bolts off. And I got the car jacked up. So I'm going to show you guys what bolts you got to get to. Alright, so we're going to be taking this bottom ball joint 17, the shoehorn 17 on both sides, and then that looks like it's maybe a 12 or 14 for the header, so we can take those off. Once we get all this popped off, then we can pop the axles out, and then we can get to the shift linkage. And it's pretty much almost ready to drop, so I'm gonna go ahead and get to these exhaust bolts, and then we'll start popping off the axles, and then we'll come back. Alright, so we got the exhaust manifold headers off. We got both our axles and half shaft. These were 314 millimeters. I forgot to mention that in the video. Pretty much everything at the suspension is ready, so we can start with taking out our radiator. So we'll start unclamping this. And this one. And then let's see. ahead and take off this heater hose as well. Alright, so those are ready. We got one more back here. It's actually down at the bottom. Let's see if I can reach it. You know, it might just have to go from the bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and do that hose real fast, and then we'll come back and just do the shift linkage, and we'll do the slave cylinder and start taking off the bolts for the mounts to drop it out. Alright, so I took the radiator and fan off with hoses. I got the slave cylinder off with two 12mm, and then I went ahead and took off the shift linkage. It's just these clips. You can use a flathead to pry up from right here. I'm just kind of trying to speed the video up because I'm actually running out of time. But yeah, just the little pins that were holding the linkage, and that's pretty much it. I also loosened up the mounts, all 17mm. And that's pretty much it. The motor should be ready to drop now, so I'm gonna go ahead and start loosening all the mounts, put the jacks under, we'll drop it down, and pretty much end this video. So I'm gonna knock that out and come back. Alright, so we're back. H22 is completely out and ready to be basically all cleaned up, and new belt, new spray, new manifold, new coil packs, new header. One reason why this motor kind of felt sluggish to me, I think this is the stock VXCX throttle body, so it's like super small. It's only like 50 maybe millimeters, or 60. Nah, probably not 60. But in that, and this car has complete stock factory exhaust too, so I think in order for us to get the full potential, we're gonna at least need 2.5-inch piping, and the throttle body situation is taken care of because obviously we're going with a 70mm and the RBC, and with the headers there's gonna be a lot more flow going, so we're definitely gonna have to figure something out with that. Other than that, stay tuned, guys. We still got to get this bay all cleaned up and ready for paint, and then we'll be getting the motor all ready, new timing belt, and all the new parts that we're going to be installing with the coil unpack from Burton Racing. I actually got to send the ECU in tomorrow so we can get that back as soon as this is dropped in, so it should start right up. Other than that, just stay tuned, guys. We got a lot more parts coming soon. If you haven't, like, share, subscribe, comment, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys in the next video.